Today, our Zoom interview connects Zurich and Shanghai. And here we have Li Tingwei, a recipient of Pro Helvetia residency program. Her solo show, Duna Donut, runs now at Escape and Art here in Zurich until September 16th. At the same time, Tingwei has her solo show in Shanghai at Jean Gallery, which is called Airdrop, Cloud Landed, Boulders Drifted. Tingwei, could you please explain us what is your exhibition at Jean Gallery about?
In Chinese, it may means air landed,
okay,
boulder drifted, but in English we use the name just airdrop, like the service we always use to transfer our files in via laptop. Yeah.
That's cool. And again, the multi-disciplinary project. Again, you use paintings, video, also like you paint in 3D, right?
Yes, there is one video and several paintings and drawings and two big sculptures.
Okay, and sculpture, these are the towers, right? Which you quite traditional for the Chinese culture.
The
right?
digital form, but I put a hand form on it. So it's like the people used to carve their names or carve their happenings on rocks.
Okay.
So the sculpture would be 150 meters high. It's almost like our height. And there will be a hand form. You can see a hind form on it. It indicates that it used to have some hand or hand shape on it, and people carve something on it. So it's also like how we used to make the documentation or make notes. We used to use it on rock before we invented paper, right? And now our data or everything we did in the digital form, we also put it or store it in the cloud. There is a lot of connection with the two entities. It's like the cloud, the word, etymologically or from the very beginning of the word in the Oxford English, I found that cloud, the word, the term was used to mean cloud without a U. So it means the hill or rock, actually. So it implies that they're metaphorically a projection. It's like a metaphorical projection of the terrestrial. They are all cumulus, right?
Yeah.
Like they are cumulus. So maybe they are the same thing. That's why I'm start to think to make some work about the very interesting coincidence. Or so the cloud also have earned its digital reputation as our data storage as a server, and it also means that it's very light, it's insubstantial, and there is no form of it. I mean, yeah, you cannot see a real form of it in comparison with the rocks. That rocks is always there, and they didn't change a lot. So the two entities, one above, one on the ground, they have a conversation maybe. That's during the residency in Switzerland, in Basel, I came up with the idea that because I saw cloud and rocks outside my window every day. Yeah.
Let us come a bit early in your biography, and we'll come back to Swiss residency again. But I would like to come back to the very beginning, as you were like a student first in New York School of Photography, and then afterwards in Shanghai. How your actual artistic practices developed, or what was the impulse? Maybe there were like some main artists who actually you admired and they influenced you further way. Why you made a switch from photography into multimedia arts?
Yes, I did an exchange program at Hunter College in 2014. Yeah, from the UDK Berlin, from my school. I was like an exchange student going to New York. And why I choose Hunter or New York, because I admire the minimal art. I really want to see the minimal art or the minimal art movement in the 60s, 70s, the work of all this, like Agnes Martin or Donald Judd. There is not a lot of their works in Germany, in the Museum of. But in US, every museum, there are a lot of original works of the 60s, 70s, even like Dia Beacon, they just showing that kind of minimalist art pieces. So there's it was a main reason why I really, really want to go there. Also, New York attracts the best artists, I would say the best artists around the world. New York is, some part is quite profit driven, but it's also share some similarity with Chinese modern city, like Shanghai or yeah, the big city in China. I could find the same cheesecake factory, Starbucks, the same food, share the same culture, or maybe Chinese recent 20, 30 years was greatly influenced by the American culture or our generation, to be honest, from the music, film, or everything.
Okay, and how did you switch from the sculpturistic or like the minimalist art into the video, making video? Who were your...
Yeah, I feel like just painting and drawing, or they limit some part of my considerations or thoughts. Like the things I made in my videos, now that I can see, I found it so hard to express them in paintings. So I struggled for a while, but luckily I was still a student. So I asked several like professors or talked a lot with my classmates, and they feel like, yes, of course you can do whatever you want, because I was like a student from Berlin, and you don't actually earn the yes, in the UDK we don't even have the points. We don't even have the points to be graduated. So of course they are encouraging you to do whatever you want to explore yourself. So start from 2016, I began to make video work, trying to put some topics I concern, like consumerism and the self-optimism, all these topics into the videos. I really want to try if I could put the ready-made or objects, installations, videos together to make it more like impact topics or works that is not only make me really um, engrossed in that kind of process, but also it might bring some thinkings or some thoughts to my audience, to other people, maybe.
Okay. Who were like the video artists who influenced you the most?
Oh, I think Laura Provost, some of her gallery show in Berlin had, yes, I feel like so shocked and surprised to see that kind of work, the gallery show of Laura Provost. Of course, afterwards, I saw some museum show or other things, or in Paris, like a big retrospective, but I really like the gallery show of Laura Provost.
Okay. That was the turning point.
That's my work. Yeah, I like it. And some of the Chinese artists as well, they did good work. Yes, like a good friend of mine, Li Ming, and the artist. Yes, very good video artist.
Okay. Okay. And when was the time in Iran, when you were in residency in Iran? How was it to be there? how to be a female
Iran,
artist there. Let's formulate it like
Iran
this.
in 2018. I stayed there for a month. To be honest, it was in Tehran because of the air pollution, and I lost some of my masks. Actually, I have a habit of bringing masks before COVID, but there is a really serious air pollution problem in Tehran. It's worse than Beijing, I guess. And I was a little bit unhappy with the air quality there, and also this identity of being a female. They are tipping me all the time. The people are looking at you, or even though I was covered with hijab and a lot of covered with long trousers and long shirts, because actually you don't allow, people said you don't allow to expose your skin or even legs, no, or your body shape, no. So it was quite unusual to me. And also to that part, I have to say everybody in Iran would experience this Islamic culture shock. They are so strong. And normally I don't pay attention to my identity as a female, but there it's such a clear line between women and men. On the bus, in the subway, you have different cabin. Also, what you did, yeah, maybe, of course, I was wondering if I could smoke in Iran because I'm not sure what kind of thing that women are allowed to do or what kind of thing women are not allowed to do, because the women are not allowed to dance in the public, are not allowed to sing in the public. So there is a lot of weird rules according to Islamic culture, and they are quite restricted. So I keep asking a lot of things or the taboos of their society.
But did you ever try to go beyond these rules, to kind of step out, or to find where is the...
Yeah, taking off the scarf, of course, it's unbearable. In the 40 degrees centigrade every day, and you have to wear that covered with so much clothes every day. It's quite hard. And I tried once taking it off at night, and after like 2 minutes, someone is patting my shoulders and pointing to my head, to my hair, a man. Yes, it's quite strict. This was in Isfahan, a relative big city, Isfahan. Because there is quite complicated the character of Iranian people and Chinese people. And there is a lot of rules of the government or the culture, but the people go around with it. So I see, as Chinese, we also sometimes do this. The rules or the government not allow us to do that, but we will go around with the rules. Yeah, so it makes the personalities a little bit complicated.
And how did it influence your art? Were you also restricted to do certain kind of work? Because during this time you had 24/7, right? In progress, the video work.
Before, actually, I finished the work before going to Iran. But the artwork or the artists there, they also do two kinds of work. One is to the public that is already censored, or you have to censor it yourself. You know what could be showed. And the other part is the work that you do for yourself. You can draw a naked woman. You can do something that claim the government, or really bad words towards Islamic culture, maybe, I don't know. But yes, that kind of work you keep in your studio and invited certain close friends or certain people to see, but it could not be in public. In China, the same. Yes, like the work, one interesting thing, the unhealthy for sensitive groups, the work of my video work was shown in the Biennale in Guangzhou at the 2019. They said that the work description could not mention smog. Now, of course, the English word smog could be okay, because nobody was going to find it, right? But the Chinese word smog could not be it's not allowed in the work description, but the whole work is about smog. Cut off the Chinese word smog and yes, say polluted air or something, some similar meaning. Sometimes in the museum or big public art programs or art festivals.
But does it limit it yourself? Do you feel restricted? Is it the way like you can't exist actually in the system, and you better work, for example, in Europe, where we speak openly about these topics? Actually, we want to discuss them and thematize these works.
It doesn't restrict the work itself. Of course, I can do the work and keep it in my laptop. It's fine, as long as it's not shown to public, right?
Yeah.
So I think, but the Chinese artists, they all know how to deal with it, the self-censorship. They know what could be shown and what could not be shown. But the work, you can do whatever you want in the studio. The people tend more talk about everything or ecosystems. Maybe more of them is talking about geographically and the historic thing, this kind of topics that not touching the governmental or political part, especially the communist part.
Yes, but some researchers who are independent scholars in China, and what they're writing, that they're saying that they research about the preceding party or preceding like governmental institution, and never they touch upon like the current.
The work for the past sometimes is safe. Some topics with the time it disappeared as well. Like some of the history events we could talk about like 10 years ago, now it's like a little bit taboo.
And for the contemporary arts, do artists also thematize these topics like in the past, or they tend to work still with the current situation?
Now the current situation, but it's consumerism. It's just about the lifestyle consumptions. It's nothing touching the political part, right?
Yeah.
But there are artists working with histories, geographically, or talking about the real objective thing. Yeah, or not object. In history, there is no object, but I mean, there's no discussion thing. You know? Or some mysterious, they making up stories, making up narratives. That's okay. Or personal experiences.
Let's come back maybe to time when you were in Swiss residency. What was the time for you? How was it different from Iran? I can imagine. And how different was it for you in general? Like, what are maybe the advantages or disadvantages that you found in Switzerland? It's quite open country. You can actually discuss almost everything.
Yes.
Maybe like direct aggression would be restricted. But other than that, so you can actually speak about what really concerns you.
I went there in December last year. At the first month, the whole December everything was in. It was good. No lockdown and no strictly restrictions. And so I feel like I used full time going into the museums, seeing a lot of things in Basel, as many as possible with my museum card. And after Christmas, there's the lockdown happened, and the restriction. Yes, the lockdown restricted my activities, and I have to stay in studio. That's the starting point of making this cloud work.
Mhm.
But actually, in the experience in Switzerland, I feel like I compare most of this conversation with Swiss people or the artists with compare them with the German artists. I feel like they are more relaxed. The most German artists, they think a lot and very deep and sorrow things more than the Swiss artists. I have this feeling. I don't just very from my point of view, and also from the work the Swiss artists have done, always give people that they are so close to life. Yeah, they use the daily objects or they make use of everything happen around them. Yes, I feel like the Chinese artist is like living in a tower and they're not touching the ground. They are doing some very divine work or something. It's hard to
Yes.
see some objects in their works. They're always thinking another layers, another histories. Yeah, they're doing it really high art. But I think the European artists or more to like Swiss artists, they're living in their life, they're totally deep diving in their own surroundings. That's how
Yeah,
the art came.
but also we have a longer tradition of art. I mean, we did not have any restrictions, and art was always here, and it's so much rooted in the society. How would you describe like being an artist in Shanghai?
Oh, it's not normal. I could not say in Chinese I'm an artist. Even my close friends, or like in the party, they are architects, they are designers, and as they introducing me, they say, "Oh, Tingwei, she's an artist" in Chinese, and people would, what? What is artist? It's a little bit strange profession still, and we would say something similar, uh, like designer or doing working in the art industry. The people would seems like thinking you work in the museum or yes, or you are art educator.
Okay.
So if you say artist, people would probably imagine it's more like craft. People don't know what you do. May imagine that your job or your work is tend to like a designer and you have a commissioned work or you have someone paid you and you make something for them. That's more easy to understand. But Shanghai, recent year, there are so many art museums popping up. They're all private museums. They
But do
all
people
call,
consume it or not? Not really.
now it's so expensive. Like 100 yuan is probably if we pay 20 euro to an art museum, an entry for art museum, people normally they accept it. But 20 euro, it's Guggenheim.
Well, it's Zurich.
It's so expensive, and in Beijing, the several private museum, art museum, it's all about 20 euro.
Okay.
You will pay for it, and at weekend. These are high demand for cultural activities. They pay the same price for an music live or for a cocktail. So for entry in the museum to see Andy Warhol now in the UCCA Beijing, it's quite normal. If you do it every weekend, it's really crazy.
What is the average salary at the moment?
The salary, normal salary of the moment, 2,000.
Impressive. And what art do you see in these new popping up museums, like these private collections? Do you see Chinese contemporary art or mostly American art?
There are shows about Chinese, but in the last year there is in the Westbound Art Museum, they're showing some works from Pompidou. They're borrowing a lot of work from Pompidou, and also now they're showing Kandinsky,
Okay.
the real big Kandinsky show. And in the Pudong Art Museum, which is just opened 2 weeks ago, is showing one Chinese artist, Tai Guoqiang, this mid-expression Tai Guoqiang, and also a lot of work from Tate Modern. They borrowed several works. That's why they could sell this price so high. I mean, they make the work, they transported this work from all seas to China to let people got the chance to see this masterpiece.
But do you feel that to be a successful Chinese artist, you need to first establish yourself in West and then come back, and then you'll be also well received in China? Or can you just become a very artist in demand solely being a Chinese artist, never going outside, never studying or whatever? You named Tai.
Yes, that was in his generation. But in my generation, I think this benefits is almost gone. Better you got two lines together. If not, just because we pay highly attention to identity nowadays. I think the art market changed also. And people talking about identity in the contemporary art context, right? So as a Chinese artist, of course, you have to base or rooted in your own culture, in your own identity, or you make work from your immigrant identity, an artist or a Chinese artist working in the US or working in Europe. But China, the Chinese art market is going too fast recent years from any part.
What is it that for you, like living a double life in Europe and in China, and actually where do you find your roots?
Yes, it's not a double life. I think it's a period of time in my life that I could not make a choice to be just in China or always there in Berlin as an Asian artist. In Berlin, I'm not even a Chinese artist. I'm just one of the Asian. First, I would say I really enjoyed this transition part. I like to see how my identity or my personality fit in different cultures. Also in China, I have a reversed culture shock normally here because I left here for almost 10 years. And even the recent 3 years I've been living in Shanghai, at least half of every year. But still, I could not catch up with the speedy consumption habit of the people around me. And there's too many things going on every day. And also the social media we use. It's hard to catch up with the speed. It's created a certain pressure in Chinese contemporary society. In the last year, we start to call the people who go to work every day, they work 996. It means that you work 9 hours, 6 days every day. So it's called 996. Yes, it's a new
So you
term.
start from 9 maybe? Start from 9 in the morning, work for 9 hours? Yes.
Sorry, not 9 hours, but 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. and 6 days.
Oh, wow.
So it's, yes, it's a normal for Shanghai younger people.
But I believe it's like a globalized concept already, that the time is desynchronized. You can't really catch up with the time. It's going much faster and further, up in front of us.
Yes.
Like the schools, the governmental regulations, they're far, far behind like the situation. So they cannot really also catch up with the situation. I don't think that it's like just a Chinese concept at the moment, but it's generally global concept, which everyone feels that, we do not have time to kind of reflect on the happenings, on the things which are going on.
Yes, there's different levels of the speed. Maybe in Tokyo and in Shanghai, there's speedy than in Zurich, than in Berlin, in European cities, right? Yes, but it makes us more stressful, of course, because of this internet. I think internet-based society. We are linked to everywhere, every second. That's how we got inconvenient to do this interview. But on the other hand, these are two sides of the coin, of course. Yeah.
But one day you want to switch off and like, I don't want to see iPhone anymore, and I just want to be out.
No, that's the thing that I can switch to a Berlin or European mode to slow down, to think what's the next step for me, or like the Swiss residency. That's why I wanted to take the risk to go to this residency last year. It was COVID there in Europe, but in China last year, end of last year was okay. But I decided to go. Just I really need just my inner needs of being slowed down, or just want to see less things, be out of this social pressures or consumption pressures. Um, it's hard to describe this kind of needs. If you are not in this speedy city, you cannot understand. Yes, as a normal people, normally as once I had a job to work to work at 9 o'clock in the morning, I have to catch the 8 a.m. train or subway. And it was so crowded, and everybody is so tired. They are so tired in the morning, and it just feel like, okay, they're trying hard to live, to make money, to have a piece of space in the city, but they're paying too much. I mean, their energy, their thinking, I don't know if they have the thinking or not. Everybody's like in a self-driven mode. They are without thinking. They are just one of the machine. So that's the thing I don't like Shanghai or Chinese city.
And actually, if we look at the nature, or like our human nature versus like real nature, what's going on, and it's also quite devastating situation. It's also like sucked out energy, and people are not actually searching for this interconnectedness in between. How would you describe the situation like about ecology at the moment in China? Are the questions are raised? Because this harmonious society, which was announced by Hu Jintao, he was actually he wanted to create this corrective like reaction to the social and also environmental problems. How does it work at the moment in China?
At Hu's time, it was better than now.
Okay.
But now, in Xi's time, the chairman, I think it's slightly changed. The harmony is just on the surface.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know if you have heard the news. The last 2 days, there is a big flood.
Yes,
disaster.
Yes. That also heard.
And even the subway is full of the waters and the flood. It's much yes, a lot of people died, but we don't know how many people died. And there's no a very fast rescue reaction to it. And still, there are things on the surface. You see the news, Chinese news, everything in harmony. Everything was good.
Okay.
Yes. I think it's just a period of time, and different leaders have different goals. For the current Xi's goal, I guess, not only harmony, but also the people have to be very communist in the Chinese communist way. Yeah.
And everything for the economy. So the
economy on the one part, the other part, it must be really Chinese Communist Party.
Ideologically very, very also difficult. And do you also have artists who work maybe on environmental issues, or at the moment it's also like a red topic?
This year, the Shanghai Biennale, the topic is called Bodies of Water. So it's about ecosystem, everything to this wet environmental topics, how in our body or in the earth, in the surface of it's related to the ecosystems, of course. It draws attentions, but there's not a lot of Chinese artists doing this topic. I hope it could be better. And I personally, I just did less delivered food, delivered things. Everything is so many plastics, and we feel like there's air conditioning also everywhere in Shanghai. This is all bad for the environment. And you could not help if your goal is chasing for the economic and convenience. That's why back to this 24/7 work. That was a concern of me that there's so much convenience in Shanghai. You can get everything anytime. And even every restaurant they are doing delivery, even small bakery. Yes, this because of the time. If in the same city I want to give you something, I ordered a pickup. Someone will pick this thing for me to you. People have to work at night, right? And they have to run riding these motorbikes, running for you at night. So the 24/7, it's really a good description of the modern city mode, especially the city I live in currently. And there's no day-night mode. But in Europe, of course, we have a day-night mode, something that you could never finish or have got it down at night. And now there's no difference. It's a big yes. This difference made me think to make something. Also, at that time, I had a sleeping disorder, and after several hours, I realized, okay, there is another day arrived. But actually, I'm living it like a line. I'm not living it like a circle. I'm living it like all the same. I get everything the same feelings if I don't close my eyes into this state, into my space.
Actually, there is so much of you in the works. Like you are so present. You know, most of the artists, they try to step back a bit out of their works and like the work lives by itself. But there's so much of you. Like even in the work Digitus Digitalis, you have your hand molds, like of fingers. You know, which are, you see the presence, you feel the presence of the artist itself.
There's such a big interest to express oneself's feelings in artwork. It's also it's a pleasure to make that to compose a work, you know, in to compose your work your work in another way, like express your feelings or the emotions or some uh, assumptions, may sometimes about your life. But I think I'm just a sample of a modern people. I must say, I'm just one small leaves in the whole universe. I'm just a sample. Just be honest with the work. Yeah.
And being yourself, totally, 200.
Yeah, if I could fix something, might be more successful because I could learn some good example of how the which kind of work could sell better, and this art or strategies of making what kind of installations. You know, there are some methodologies of doing it, but it's not so honest. And also from my personalities, I really admire or I want to be an honest person. So I just say what I think. It's hard to pretend. And it's lucky to be an artist in China, because just the artists might be so honest, I guess, or the people who doing who created things could be so honest. If I'm a lady working in an office, I must pretend my identity as a worker.
You also mentioned that you, like this living double life, like living in China and living in Berlin, is for a certain moment. So you think that you will anchor somewhere in the end, or what is your plan?
I was thinking this question last night. It's hard to tell. I really cannot say. Yes, where does the future lie? I hope the environment is getting better. Then we have a hope to talk about this topic. Otherwise, we will end up just living in our current situation, and it's getting worse and worse, right?
Yes, it looks like that, unfortunately.
Yes, we have to still be a little bit positive, doing something good. But I'm not a vegetarian. I'm still, sometimes it's really a struggle as a human. You have so much waste every day. You produce so much waste, and you just harm this environment, harm this world. You just feel guilty. 叫late night work，就是有点视频，有一个视频框，就像在视频会议那样子的，一个手放在旁边，另外一个框里边其实是一个石膏的手，一个拳头，然后这边这一幅是 multitasking， 多重任务，就是很像我们一只手要做的，就是老照片的这个反老照片的图画出来，因为我发现也是和展览主题相关，因为有一个hold这样子的一个动作，比如说和抓取东西的这个 grasp 这个抓取伞杆，其实这幅的原型一个是这幅的名字叫看病，怎么说呢？因为那
Could you name 3 works that you've seen lately which impressed you the most?
The recent show in a group show, the Hito Style, she had a work called Duty Free Art. It's a video. I just got a chance to see the whole video with the installation. That's very good. I read the book part of it. Still, I feel like the video tells more, or it's more direct to the topic. It's interesting. Very early work, several of Isa Ganskin was quite interesting. When she was still at school or just out of school. In the Kunstmuseum, there are some early paintings of the Francis Alice, 2 men sitting on the table. There are several same one, similar one. Yes. Okay. It's a show just in the same floor of Isa Ganskin. And I never saw that he made the same motif, several of it. And actually in Basel, I saw so many good works out of my imagination, really.
Recently, I've seen the images from the opening of the exhibition devoted to 100th anniversary of party, and probably you also saw them on web or it was spread in news. I was impressed by the quality of the works, I should say. I mean, how it was presented, like the photography, the paintings. Are these artists actually very, very successful?
Yes, I guess they have a steady job or payment, I guess. They are somehow like in the Kunstverein. It's not the same as the German Kunstverein. They have a job. Or they are professors in the academy. They're different than the artists like me or contemporary artists. It's like 2 worlds, completely 2 different worlds.
Parallel worlds.
It's a parallel world.
Do you think you would be able to work in the university or an academy, like art academy?
Oh,
okay.
Because this Communist Party is also in the university.
Okay.
They have different, yes, they're also in university. You have to have meetings. You have give a lot of that energy to this kind of thing. Yes, bureaucratic thing.
I also wanted to ask you, Tingwei, why Yishu, which is really quite an important Chinese contemporary magazine, right? Why is it based in Canada?
I don't know. And their art magazine are almost dying here in China, in the mainland China now. We don't. We just have one or two of them, and they have just 2 issues per year.
Wow.
There's no sponsor for it, so it's hard to keep going. I know the editors here, the chief editor and the editor here in Shanghai for art magazine, and it's almost the only one left. 10
Wow.
years ago, there is at least 4 or 5.
And what do the people do? Do they immigrate, or do they stay and change? Just
They stay in the art industry or they change their job. Yes, some of them just, I don't know, work in the art museum. Some of them left. Yeah, there are definitely some of them left and going to Taiwan or migrating to other countries.
okay. And if we speak about this private museums, which you told like they are opening recently, who are the people who are working there? Are they well-educated art historians, art critics, or they are just I know commercial people who are make the marketing for the museums? What is how is the art criticism working in China?
Private art museum, they are professional. Yeah, most of them, they are professional from this art circle. Yeah, curators or I mean, most of them, the curators, they have been working in this industry for many years. They are experienced. Yeah. So also they hired a curator from outside China as well.
Well, Tingwei, thank you so much for your answerings. And I'm looking forward to see you here in Zurich. And you have the T-shirt of Stop and Fire, right?
Yes, I was wondering if you can see it.
Yes, I saw it. Yeah.
Very cute.
Super.
It's so small.